Hello and welcome to Midday Mondays with Greg and Malcolm. As you can tell, Greg is not here. He is taking an extended vacation, and I wholeheartedly endorse that.
Yes.
I got another window open I need to close. There we go. Yeah, and so sitting in for Greg, we have Devon. What's going
What's
on?
up? Hey, how's everybody doing out there?
Yeah, so I wanted to plug a show that you had last night, Sunday. Now it's night. 5:00 p.m. is now night.
Right, it is technically because it gets dark so close. It gets dark earlier now.
Yeah, it's gonna be getting darker faster. It's one of the things I do in the evenings. On Sunday, I usually am working on my podcast, and I will go ahead and plug that as well, since it is coming out for patrons. If you are a patron, it's available on patreon.com right now. It'll be out for everyone else tomorrow. But I was getting into a lot of like my thoughts post-election. Greg is not here for it. He doesn't want to talk about it, and I don't blame him. In fact, I think that's really healthy to get some breathing room because you can get really angry, especially if you're confronted by the ignorance on a daily basis. If you're working in a certain area, say in customer service, I saw a video of a guy who, he works in a like rural area, and most of his customers, he just, assume they're Trump supporters because that's probably a pretty good assumption. And being nice to these people is really difficult. He's just like, I need to take a break. I think he said he put it in for like 2 or 3 days in getting back to work today. And, I guess not everyone has that capability. And so I would just say, take care of yourself. I think there's a lot of mental things that you can do for yourself to decenter the election. Like, first of all, go on a news diet. Let go of what's going on. Things you can find out what happened later after everything has gone down, and focusing on the things you can control. Take on a project, like I'm lucky I have M3 and I have podcasts and live streams like this. It takes a lot of work, so I can focus on that. And the things I'm going to focus on are all the things that I've always been focusing on, which is personal development, relationships, I guess just getting along with people, understanding psychology, things like that, spirituality, and just like managing conflict, I think is a major one. And, one of the things I think, recognizing the results of the election, we have to see that we have to be here for each other, like collectively as a group, especially as minority communities. We have to take care of ourselves first, and then know how to be in community with one another and manage conflict. So that's kind of like where my goals are, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so I said, I think I was saying to you even before the show, Devon's show is mainly about celebrating the media that he enjoys, and breaking down all the things that are coming out, talking about it. I think all of that's important too, because I think we've talked about how sometimes that media doesn't reflect us. Sometimes people feel really weird about watching it, especially if something like super racist shows up in your favorite show.
Yeah.
And like saying, you know what, it's okay. You can find enjoyment in it, especially if you see other Black people who are also enjoying and saying, like, you don't have to feel guilty about it. Like, you can criticize the things you still enjoy watching. And that really does suck when it's some piece of media that you enjoy listening to or watching, and then that person turns out to be evil. You can't do it anymore. You're like, God damn it, I love this song, and now I can't listen to it.
No.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I do have a buffet of awesomeness, I guess. I don't even know what I'm gonna call these. Self-help slash self-improvement type stuff. So I think one of the first ones I want to do has to do on apologizing when you've done something wrong. This creator was just talking about her thoughts around apologies. And so what I want to prime you with this question, Devon, is like, have you ever found it difficult to apologize to people? And what do you attribute a good apology for you? Like, what are the requirements for you to feel good about someone apologizing to you? All right, I'm going to play this.
Ability to apologize tells me a couple of things about them. First thing it tells me is what their views might be on correctness, specifically how much of a priority it is for them to be right. Because from what I've observed from other people who prioritize being right beyond everything else, is that it doesn't matter what they say or what they do as long as they feel like they are right. If being right is more important than being respectful, then that is somebody that I do not want to be in proximity to. People who are willing to drop their defenses and apologize are often people who would rather solve an issue with you than be at war with you. I'm not going to be mad at somebody being unregulated in a conflict. That is something that's incredibly natural. I don't have the expectation for people to be perfect in our relationships. The expectation that I do have is recognizing when your lack of regulation is causing you to act out of character, thereby being disrespectful, and you can turn around and apologize and repair. I too have had moments where I get triggered in an argument and I raise my voice to a volume that isn't conducive to the conversation, and I have to turn around and be like, I'm sorry. I got a little too passionate. Let me chill out for a second. Maybe this is why I'm getting triggered. There are certain people in this world that one might view as worthy of an apology, and that is indicative of how much respect they have for this person. Now, in the perfect world, you should be able to respect everybody enough to deal an apology when it's worth it. It makes sense. Or if they really need one. However, this is the real world, so there are people that someone might deem not worthy of an apology, and that even might extend to their partner, and that says a lot about how much that person respects or doesn't respect their partner if they aren't willing to dish out an apology when it's necessary. Because truly it isn't difficult to dish out an apology. I think the reason why this is so important to me is because it also gives me insight on what apologies mean to them. To me, an apology is just an acknowledgement of a shortcoming that I had, or acknowledging the validity of somebody's pain and what I did to possibly inadvertently cause harm. But to others, specifically people who might really struggle with dishing out apologies might be something that challenges their dominance, or it might be something that's a sign of weakness. Which is why people who struggle to apologize often start labeling the person who's requesting an apology as a perpetual victim or somebody weaponizing victimhood. There are certain tools that people aren't equipped with that I can live with and be like, okay, this is something that I'm willing to stick around for. But in my opinion, like, my big deal breaker is if you do not have the tools to understand the importance and understand how to apologize to me properly, you are on square one and I am on square like 56. There's no way you can catch up to me if we are both trying to continue to grow and evolve. Like, maybe my mind will change, but right now, like, that's kind of where my stance is. That's fine, but you know.
Wow.
So I definitely know people who like this, and for me, I think apologies are very difficult for me to accept. That's one of the reasons why I said it's one of those things, and it's not even like I'm a petty person.
Right.
It's that I am a sensitive person, and so like if someone has raised their voice to me or said something hurtful intentionally, maybe in a moment of weakness or just like frustration, I'm never gonna forget it, like ever. Like, it's just not. And every time I see your face, I'm gonna want to punch you. Or like I just am, and so
Whoa.
that apology needs to be real good, so I can short that.
Yeah, I agree with you to that on that too. But to add, like, your apology also needs to be changed behavior, or working on changing what's making this situation conflictual. Don't even know if conflictual is a word, but making it to where we had a argument, disagreement, whatever the case may be. You did something, you made a mistake, you did something wrong. Okay. Like, recently I had someone come back into contact with me out the blue one day because they unfriended me and blocked me on both Facebook and Instagram. Okay. And I was just like, oh, so and I had my own reasons why they did this. And so they came back to me one day. It was like, well, I got tired of being no, I got tired of being told no and feel like I was being rejected by everybody. And I was just like, okay, I understand. They were like, well, and then when they were apologizing, the apology did not feel sincere because as soon as they apologized, they were like, well, so can you help me now with whatever I got going on? I'm like, because because they wanted me to help them with their YouTube channel. And I was like, so you came back and apologized? Ava said, your apology does not feel sincere. It is sincere. And then they went to, well, do you forgive me now? Can you help me with my channel now? I'm like, wow. Quickly how you went from apologizing to you apologize because you need something from me, because you need help. And in the apology, you didn't even acknowledge the fact of how I felt or how I felt about how you did this. You know what I'm saying? I get the reasons why you did it, but you also got to understand that when you do something against somebody, no matter how big or small, they're going to feel some kind of way about it. You need to acknowledge that and ask them, how do they feel about it? How did it make you feel? How do you feel now? And, just consider them. Don't just make it all about, oh, I know I did wrong. I mean, I'm glad they took accountability for what they did wrong and the reasons why they did it. But you still got to consider that I'm a human person. My feelings are also important and valid in this situation.
Yeah.
And, and go from there. But to jump from, do you forgive me now that I've apologized and I need help now? It's just like, it really made me feel weird. I'm like, I got to really, really think hard on this accepting your apology and forgiving you situation, because the way this came and panned out, like, I don't know.
I was going to say there's something about when in-person conversations, people call it the 3 V's in a conversation, and that is the verbal, the visual, and the vocal need to match in order for you to actually feel that what they're saying is true. So the verbal being like the actual words that they use, the vocal is like their tone of voice, and the visual being their body language and that sort of things. And sometimes you don't even know what the deal is, but when you know like something about these are not lining up, there's something deep within our psyche that can understand that. Like, we are social creatures. We live in societies and in tribes, in families, and in circles, and so is integral to our survival to know. And like, even if you don't understand intellectually, you kind of understand like, oh, this is not right. Okay. And I guess with online, I think that is probably the best way to tell, because you don't have all this extra information, is just to like line up what the words are with their actions, and I think that's all you really have to go on. So I could take the example of like, some of the posts that I've seen online in the past, before the election would be, pretty critical of the Democrat, right? Or Kamala, or of Biden recently. And I will see later after the election going on and on about how I can't believe all y'all voted for Trump. And so, and I could literally go back in their timeline. You didn't even have the gall to, or the smarts to delete these fucking posts about how you would never vote for a Democrat or whatever, criticizing them. It's like, you are literally just being a fucking hypocrite right the fuck now.
The hypocrisy.
Yeah. Like, so, I mean, like, I really do agree with you on that. Words matching actions, especially when all you have are words, in a textual, circumstance. The only thing you have to like evaluate that apology is their actions.
Right. And and going, and also the other side of this, when I did something wrong or there was a conflict between me and some other person, I don't have to be right. Okay, I will take accountability and be like, I'm sorry I did this, or I made you feel this way. I don't have to be right. I just want us to come to a resolution out of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like this also, not everybody cares about your feelings, you know?
That's true.
And I am a sensitive person. And so I part of what helps me deal with people more is just realize they don't really care. You know, they just want what they want. They'd rather you not have feelings at all. They would love it if you were just
that is true. Like, oh, you shouldn't hold on to the past. You're just being sensitive, and you're being overly dramatic or whatever, overly emotional. I'm like, I have feelings. I'm human, just like you. Right. But you came to me with your feelings. But if I express mine, I'm not supposed to have them.
Right. Oh yeah, they're definitely like, your feelings are getting in the way of what I want. That's why. That's what it is. So fuck your feelings, right?
Right, so, really. That's what people had the mindset of fuck your feelings. And I'm like, but into a naive person or a person that is more about, okay, I just want to, whatever I got to do to get to the peace, or that person just naive and don't know any better. They'll be like, okay, yeah, maybe you're right, maybe I am. But a person that knows themselves and is aware, like, no, we ain't gonna just skip over my feelings or show them to the side, because eventually you get tired of people stepping over your feelings or stepping on your feelings and just shoving them to the side for the sake of them or whatever situation is. You get tired of that eventually, and it's like, nah, I can't do that anymore. You know.
Yeah. And I would say for this, obviously, you get to select who's in your life to a certain degree. Obviously, some people you have to tolerate. But, you know, and if you can't make room for my feelings, then I can't make room for you.
Bam. Like, there you go.
Like, it's a simple thing. Is because my peace is important to me. So, ain't
it, though? Like, my peace got to be there. Like, I can't sacrifice my peace for your chaos. I can't do that.
Right. And I think when we were talking about, I think it was on Wednesday, we were talking about sensitive people. Like, obviously, the world needs more sensitive people because sensitive people also care about other people's feelings because they understand what it's like to have theirs hurt. You know.
Yep.
And at this point in history, and like thinking about the election, I think a lot of people they are thinking about dominance, and the only time that people do make deference for someone else is when they have something that they want or they have authority over them, you know. And I think, to me, I thought about that, like, that's where we are right now. Like, people really don't care about each other's feelings like we should or need to in order to get, you know, more compassionate society. But so be it. This is where we are. All right. So we don't have any comments. I'm going to move on to the next one. Let's see what this is. Confronting. Oh, yeah. We were talking about the religious hypocrisy. No, I don't know much about this story, but Kev on Stage is a really hilarious content creator who apparently made a video of him drinking at a gospel concert, like drinking a margarita at a gospel concert, and the internet came for him. I would love to see some of those videos. We might have to go searching for them.
Right, yes.
I'm probably going to bring this up to the rest of the panel Wednesday. Yeah. So it'll be fun to see if he made any jokes about it. But let me go ahead and play the video and we'll talk about religious hypocrisy.
People are mad at me because I had a margarita at the reunion tour, and I want to talk about it.
These people are pissed off with Kevin on Stage, not because he had a drink and they think it's a sin. They're pissed off because, one, he had a drink at a gospel concert. Two, because he had the nerve to make a video of it. The blatant hypocrisy that most Christians live under with no problem. The amount of people who I know will party Monday through Saturday, but as long as you don't bring it to church on Sunday, you're fine. These are the same people who believe that God knows their heart. These are the same people who believe that God is with them everywhere they go, but they don't consider it to be harmful unless it's publicized. They are more concerned with the PR of Jesus than their hearts. They will shit on another person, not because they're doing the same things that you're doing, but because they are bold enough to do it publicly. My thing is this: if a person tells me that they're a Christian and they live that book to a T, I have no problem with them. Everybody has their own path. I will leave you where you are. But when you decide to pick and choose and cherry pick which parts of the Bible should be taken at its word and which parts of the Bible should need to be interpreted, that's when I have a problem. Most of the stuff that y'all say is about context. It's not about context. It's very obvious, right? Don't drink. Don't kill. Don't steal. Don't have sex. Don't be gay. All of those things are very clear in this text that you have been given. Now, I'm not going to go into the history of the text and how a lot of these things were not even added until the early 20th century. We can leave that behind. You can believe it or not believe it. Google well. I think we have stalled so much as a community because we refuse to let go of religion. It keeps us under their thumb. it keeps us complying with our own enslavement. It keeps us complying with our own indoctrination. And nothing can pull us out of it except for ourselves. Telling yourself the truth. Being honest about how you actually feel. Not only that, but taking a moment to say, how is it that a God who loves me will create a set of rules that literally and directly go against my nature? Why would a God that loves me ever do that? But I can't answer that for you. You got to answer it for yourself. I have been deconstructed for 10 plus years. And it is my sole mission to support other people who are going through the deconstruction process. Because it is very alienating. It will make you feel like something in you is broken. But you are not the broken one, beloved. People who speak and profess and perform a lifestyle that contradicts what they actually believe and with how they actually live, those are the people who need to be healed. Not you.
So one of the things I was going to point out is what the term she used, deconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
I just figured this, learned this term maybe a couple of years ago. It's just the idea that like when you leave religion, there was something there that was bringing you to it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So the deconstruction process is trying to extract what it was you were getting out of that religion as you leave, basically. And sometimes that means going into another religion or, finding your own spiritual practices or whatever it may be. But clearly there are some reasons why people are in church, right? It may actually be instructive to, piece that together for yourself. But I think one of the points she was getting at was, the hypocrisy is that people will profess to believe or say certain things because that is the orthodoxy of the church that they're a member of, but that isn't really their behavior. And then they will go off on people like Kev on stage, the, content creator, when he's doing what they are obviously doing as well. They just didn't make a video about it.
Right.
And, at first I was like, yeah, maybe it's because I didn't have this background, right? Like, I don't know. My church was always kind of liberal,
Mm-hmm.
I was part of the Anglican church, was like the Church of England. So it's like the way someone described it is the Catholic Church without the guilt. It's just like they were very freewheeling.
Mm-hmm.
They have openly gay priests and women are preaching. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's always been pretty, liberal. But even with that, I could not stay at their church because there were things, points of fact that they were trying to, preach that just didn't sit right with me. But I did love the community. I still do. Like I still am in contact with a lot of the people who go to church there. And I was lucky because I was just thinking if I was raised in some of these like hellfire, like you are going to hell because you like boys. Yeah, like I don't know. I'd never asked you what your background was. Like, what did you have to deconstruct, or was this something that you believed in at some point and then had to figure out for yourself?
Yeah. So I grew up. So as a child, I was dragged to the Kingdom Hall with my grandmother, so she was a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
Then when I got older, and I grew up in a Christian household. My mom is, Christian. I'm pretty sure she's Baptist. That's what I'm gonna go with, Baptist here. So
Okay.
I became a Baptist. My first church home was First Baptist Church back in my hometown.
Yeah.
And then I moved, found another church around the corner. I did church hop. As we call it that. Church hop for a good minute, but my main was First Baptist. And then came to Atlanta and I found Gentle Spirit Christian Church, who is my pastor is gay, and everything. But at the same time too, I also have my own spiritual walk. I did have to deconstruct from a lot of things with Christianity as well. So I understand, like, because a lot of things just didn't match up with me, especially when people are supposed to be Christians, but they don't act Christian.
Right.
And they don't really practice a lot of Christian followings that they're supposed to and everything like that. Even when I remember one day I was at work and I'm grateful for the lady who helped me. This is back when I had my old job and I was living up in Canton, and I got lost out of my car one day, and the lady helped me, everything, and she kept going, Lord, why you testing? Why today, Lord? I know you gave it to me for a reason, Lord, and all this. I was just sitting like, well, I appreciate you out of your good Christian heart and your good faith for helping me get in this, call AAA to get me in this car. But all of that kind of, but it also kind of sounded like she was a little frustrated that she had to do this, and I understand or anything like that. And I was just like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Wait,
like there was a. That's interesting, to also speak that shit out loud. Like, keep that shit to yourself.
Right. You really could have. And then, like, Lord, I know you tested me. Lord, I know this was for a reason. You put this young man. I'm just like, thank you for the help. But it's like all the extra was not needed.
Necessary,
It was just like, because you're making me you're making me feel like I inconvenienced you. Like, oh,
Yeah, that is pretty good. That is like I should like take a note if I ever want to make a sketch, because that sounds hilarious. In fact, that's real. Or I always think about the Beetlejuice 2 lady just talking about like casting out demons of people who are going to see Beetlejuice 2. Like,
oh yeah, I remember that. Oh my goodness, Lord, I laughed at that video. I was like, girl. So you're over here trying to get people to not see a fictional movie character and cast out demons as people. I would have loved to have seen if she actually went and started throwing, the holy water on people and speaking in Latin out there like, I cast you back to the. I would have been.
Oh my god!
I know if she actually did that, none of us would have laughed at her. Or been with her like,
that's the funny thing is that when people do that, at first I used to feel uncomfortable about it, and now I just kind of pull out my metaphorical popcorn and just enjoy the show. Like, oh, this is fun. Because I remember last time I was going through Atlanta, I was catching a flight somewhere else, and I was riding the train to the airport, and this guy was like preaching, like trying to do like fucking,
I see them on Marta like a good chunk of the time. I get it.
I used to be uncomfortable by it, but I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then like one of the person he was preaching to said, all this that he was saying was like I forget, like one of the passengers who was being, he laid hands on him or whatever and tried to heal him or whatever.
Lord.
And it so happens that he was in the same flight that I was going on, right? So we had a really fun conversation about him waiting for the flight, and I was like, you know what? Who's to say he really could be sent by God? You just don't know. But
right.
Like, and resisting it is like whatever. I just enjoyed the show. I thought it was funny. Like, and I said the only criticism I would make of it is like, he's clearly homeless. He's clear. Like, I don't know if that's something that talking about his path or how all of this is I can't even remember what it was, and I was just like, I don't know if that's really. I think that's a coping mechanism that he's going through. I think he's probably needs to be on medication, and but it seems like it's working for him. Like the coping, like this is what he's doing. Yeah, I think this gives him some sort of purpose while he's struggling, right? And so just accept it and go move on with your business. But no, that's also where I'm at with when it comes to the illogic of a lot of the hypocrisy, the obvious hypocrisy about certain things, where she was saying like you choose the things that you want to dig deeper into to see whether or not they are constructed right. Like a thing about homosexuality, people will not even recognize that at the time the Bible was written there wasn't a concept of homosexuality.
Nope, there was not.
Right, there was the concept of male rape, and I would suppose male rape is fucking horrible.
Right, rape is horrible for anybody.
Exactly.
know.
But you say, yeah, exactly.
But
Like,
and also when people talk about, and my pastor, he
yeah.
broke it down. He said when people speak of Sodom and Gomorrah, okay, he put it like this:
Hmm.
Sodom and Gomorrah is really misunderstood and misinterpreted because the angels were like, no, the angels were visiting Lot's house, and the
Right.
gentlemen outside, they were like, well, we don't want your daughters. We want the two gentlemen that's inside your house, and they were angels.
Yeah.
And so people thought that, oh, they must want the men. They must be gay or homosexual or whatever. And because he offered up his two daughters instead of, no, they're like, we don't want your daughters, we want the men. We want those two gentlemen. And I think they wanted to see who they were and all that stuff and maybe have sex with them, but basically it was just to see who they were. Why are these gentlemen in your house? Who are you entertaining? And
Right.
people look at that as, oh, when a man doesn't want a woman, he's gay. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And the men, it's not to say that the men didn't want the women per se sexually, which I still think is weird back in those days, but that was acceptable. They're just trying to figure out who these guys are. And, I don't know how we get homosexuality out of that, but okay.
Yeah, the whole thing was about hospitality, right?
Right. It was about hospitality. You were exactly right.
Right.
And because he was being hospitable, Lot was like, no, I can't let you in to see these two gentlemen or whatever, but I have my daughters here to entertain you, or for whatever reason, but he's like, as a hospitable person, I can't let you in to get to these two guys. They're here for a particular reason,
Yeah.
It was all about hospitality.
Yeah, and there's a cultural thing also that outsiders were much more demonized at that time.
Yeah,
right? So
they were.
The concept of hospitality was one of kind of weird, right? Like the weird person who let strangers into your house. Like everyone who was not a part of your tribe was considered dangerous.
Yeah.
Like it was the idea that sometimes people would send people into a town to see what's there, and then they sack the town and take all your shit. So they want to know who the fuck that is.
Right. That part. Yeah, that was there too.
Right.
But yeah, people back to what she was saying and back to hypocrisy and everything. People do cherry pick what they want to say is good for the Bible. I mean, what to say? Well, in the Bible it says this, and then they go off and do something. They cherry pick it to suit their need or to suit their situation to make themselves look or seem right. I mean, seem or be heard as being right. And I'm just like, you can't cherry pick everything because, like I say, with homosexuality, a sin is a sin. Like, why is homosexuality like y'all make this the biggest sin of all when you got all these other sins that are not even that are worse?
That's where the hypocrisy is that this is just something that you already don't like, and you're trying to find something in the Bible to make it acceptable for you to not like. Yeah.
Exactly. And as I said earlier, we were talking before this. I said, with the wine, and because they had alcohol at a Christian event, first of all. But like I said, when I went to a church, not even though it was a Catholic church, I just went inside of a church one day. And I was sitting through the service, and then they did communion. I was like, it's a little weird to be doing communion. It ain't first Sunday, because I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking as a Christian, first Sunday is always Communion Sunday, but it's a Catholic church, so they do communion every Sunday. And when I went to drink the juice, the blood of Jesus, I was like, wait, this is wine. I took a sip. I was like, wait, this is wine. Why did they let wine in the church? This is actual wine. This is what Jesus turned the water into. And I wish
I will tell you what's even weirder that thinking about like a point of contention within the Catholic Church, there's this concept known as transubstantiation, which they believe that when the sacrament is blessed and you ingest it, that it actually physically turns into the blood and body of Jesus, which is kind of weird. I'm just gonna say that's weirder than the fact that it's wine.
This is of my body. Take, eat. This is of my blood. Take, drink. I'm like, wait.
And they actually like. It's like a point of like fact for them that it turns into the blood.
So are we cannibals and vampires now that we don't eat the body? The blood?
Just saying, it's an interesting point of fact. I don't know.
I know. It's just
Don't mean to pick, but because like I said, I do like the church though, and I am gonna try to bring forward some like good theology on the show.
Now I do like the church. I have nothing against religion, like per se, or Christianity or anything like that. It's the people that I have an issue with. And I just be like, God, is this really what you meant when you? It can't be. It can't be. So I have nothing against anybody's religion, or I even think some religions actually help and improve our lives, like other people's religions and other people's spiritual lives actually can help and improve our lives. But we're especially as Black people, as the Black community, we're stuck on Christianity so much in the church and God and Jesus, and it's like everything else is either against God or it's witchcraft or it's demonized, because like I've seen like somebody practice their religion in their Hindu or Muslim. If somebody practiced that out in public, and somebody came up to them and started giving them, God is the only God in the blood of Jesus, and this is a blasphemy, and I'm like, they are actually practicing their religious faith, and you over here interfering in what they're doing. This is their spiritual walk. As a Christian, you should not be going up to anybody and doing that, because you're not supposed to be judging anyway. That is one of the commandments, and that is a sin. But y'all still find some way to do that and mark it off as, well, I'm just doing the blood of I'm doing the work of Jesus, and the work of that's not what God did. He didn't. That's not what the work is supposed to be.
Yeah.
But y'all,
I would say, like, even just separate it out from the church and just say, like, in any other area of life, if you were to do something like this, in any which way, it's like, you're not supposed to be eating that fucking hamburger. You didn't take that shit out your mouth.
Look, and if Christians want to be like really, we're not supposed to eat pork. We're belts.
Exactly. I forget about that.
We're not supposed to eat shrimp. We're not supposed to do a lot of things, but these churches do serve this food that we're not supposed to eat. And I'm just
saying, like, even on a secular level, like if it was something that you didn't believe someone should do, like let's say you're a vegan and you just, you think that eating meat is murder, like we would still call you an asshole for walking up to somebody and saying, "Stop eating it."
Right.
It's murder. Murder.
And you know what? It's funny how people are like, "Well, God gave us free will, the best thing ever." But when a person is free, willingly doing something that you don't like, or you feel like it's against you, or whatever, you want to go to them and criticize them. That's free will. You can't go to somebody and go against their own free will that is given by everybody, that y'all claim God gave us, and is for everybody. But here y'all are trying to be in their face about it and tell them what they should and should not do.
No, because even if you were right, like let's just assume that you won the religion lottery and the one that you picked was the exact perfect religion, you're still being an asshole.
Yes.
Like you still fucking being an asshole about it. So I'm sorry. Like, even if you're right, you're going about it wrong. Sorry, people. All right. So my next one, I guess we don't have any comments here. No. I did spread a little links around, but all of these are going to come up on Wednesday again with the rest of the guys. Let me plug my show real quick. I'm pretty sure we're going to do these. I got another one on boundaries.
Okay.
This was something that was introduced to me actually this maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, just the concept of boundaries. And boundaries are basically the things that you cannot put up with, right? Like let's say it just say like if someone does this thing, then you will have to leave. That's kind of like a boundary. It is not the same as an ultimatum. An ultimatum is saying like, you do this thing or else I'll do this. It's just saying a boundary is saying like, when people treat me this way, I have to exit. And so this person was saying like she has really strong boundaries, and she had friendships that ended, and her therapist kind of reined her in a little bit and said like, maybe that's not the only way. I'll just play the video. Okay.
Sharing an unsolicited therapy bar in case it resonates. My therapist told me that I feel the need to permanently sever relationships and then maintain really aggressive boundaries to gain back control because I was incapable of shaping the relationship by maintaining small boundaries throughout. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of gutted me because I'm someone who's notorious for being like ending things with people and be like, nah, I will never speak to you again. I'm good. And so I had therapy yesterday, not because of the election, but it came at a perfect time. And in talking about like how I'm coping and like how I get through this and like my friendship bubble, it came up that I have ended friendships. Well, that's like 4 years. I've ended some really, really meaningful friendships. And a friend breakup is way worse than a man breakup every single time. And so I was like, I think of these women all the time and I miss them deeply. So my therapist logically is like, well, why don't you reach out to them? And I very emphatically was like, no. It was a very, no. And my therapist was like, that is a very, very strong boundary. And I was like, yeah, well, the reason why is like, this is what happened that I decided I'm never going to reach out again and I'm done. And I'm saying, I'm like, and that's beyond a misunderstanding. Like that means you don't value me, you don't respect me, you know, all these things. And my therapist then gutted me and she was like, well, how did you tell them through the relationship that wasn't acceptable? Now, look, I am not deep enough into my therapy to be like, oh, you are right, I should spin the block because I'm not there yet. But what I will say is that as I think through how I'm maintaining my friendships now, and particularly how do you maintain friendships and which friendships do I want to maintain in this new era of the world that's kind of a dumpster fire, I'm like, how am I teaching my friends, or not teaching them, but how am I instructing my friends of the way that's acceptable to treat me in the ways that are? And I just want to be clear, all of my close friends, them girls got it. Them girls got it and they love me down and they are amazing and I'm just so thankful for them. But when I think about my more tangential relationships, like I'm like, food for thought.
Well, I love that like reaction where she goes,
yeah, she goes, yeah, because yeah, the realization, see, people, and I'm a person that has gone through a lot of spiritual enlightenments, I'll call them, and what's the other word I'm looking for? It means realization, epiphany. There we go.
Yeah,
I've had plenty of those, and even when I go through therapy, I'd be like, damn, you're right. I should have done that differently. I'd be like that too.
Yeah.
But when it comes to friendships, I understand her. I do get where she's coming from.
Yeah.
But I believe sometimes we as people don't handle our friendships when it comes to boundaries and things that we need to say to people. We handle them how we're going to handle them because most of the time we handle them emotionally.
Yeah.
And not logically. So it is an emotional response when we handle things. But then we got to calm down and be like, okay, logically, how could I have been better? Wrong? You know, you have to go through that too, you know.
Yeah, I think there's this idea that we are going to figure out how to do those things without making mistakes. I think that's basically how we learn. We can learn from other people's mistakes, and like it's one of the reasons why I've been enjoying the TikTok videos where people actually talk about their therapy sessions. Like those are some of my favorite videos or like lessons people learned in therapy. But yeah, because you know, she was doing the best she could back then, right? With her friends, they violated her boundaries. She cut them off. They showed her how much they didn't respect her, and she just, I'm never talking to them again. Like I can't be disrespected like that. But there is a reality in which, you know, her friends are imperfect, you're imperfect. And so like, if you told them that this would have triggered a strong ass boundary like that, they might have not crossed that line, you know? And that isn't to say that anyone who loves you isn't capable of crossing the line. Some people just have better, you know, emotional intelligence than others. Right. And so some people you really do have to kind of teach or coach and say like, hey, I know you don't understand this, but like when you talk to me in that way, like I feel disrespected and I need you to not do that.
Right.
Because in a calm way. Yeah.
And it took me a while because even after my last relationship with my ex and the way my ex talked to me, when other people I've seen other people do it, it triggered me. And I'm just like, no, I got to back up. I can't deal with the way you're talking to me because you're talking to me the same way my ex did. It's triggering me right now. It's making me either want to run from you or fight you, honestly, or both. Yeah. I might hit you in the neck and then run. I don't, you know, or I might push you down the flight of steps and then run. I don't, you know.
I get it, though. Yeah. There's a
You know,
lot.
because I mean, it was a lot because they
Yeah.
they really condescended me and made me feel like I'm dumb and that what I'm doing or saying is not right. Yeah, it was bad. It was horrible. But back to the main point. Yeah, you have to explain and say why what they're doing to you or saying to you is triggering you. And if you and if you have to give some backstory, some context, don't be afraid to do that either, so they can understand a little bit better. You know, like, oh, okay, I understand. And if they
Yeah.
really care about you, they'll take it into consideration. And be like, okay, well, I need to approach you differently, or say something to you on a different level, or you know.
Yeah. And it sometimes feels weird to have those conversations. It can feel awkward.
Yeah.
But I feel like leaning into that awkwardness is more important, because like awkward is better than ending a friendship, because this woman was like, I miss these people. I miss these women in my life. And you know, if you had the intelligence to bring that up ahead of time, and let's say maybe she just didn't have the life experience to know that she needed to bring it up, so you can't always blame her for not having known that. But if for some reason she could have known and could have brought it up, those people could still be in her life. And so in future relationships, she needs to be able to face that awkwardness and and face forward. Actually, we got some comments. Let me bring some.
Yeah, it's Sammy. It's Chaos Sammy. We're gonna call him Chaos Sammy from now on. But yeah, he says, my thing about Christianity, they committed 8 out of 10 commandments, but look down on gays, which isn't even on there. Look at the man in the mirror. Yeah. Well, it does say men should not live with men like they do with women, but that's up for interpretation. I feel like that's up for interpretation. Like, how do you, and people view it as homosexuality, which I think is it's not even that. If you do your research, that's not what that means. Honestly, it doesn't. And then the other comment is, she is me in a way. I have killed long-time friendships instantly. They knew my boundaries because I told them and treated them with the same respect. I understand that, and I've done that too. But you also got to remember too, not everybody has the same heart as you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but yeah, not everybody has the same heart as you do.
Yeah, so, and it can be difficult for like long-term people to want to modify your boundaries later, and especially. And of course, some people are just assholes because they feel like they'll get away with it, and they say, "Yo, you're not gonna do anything. You're not gonna leave." So I can talk to you any kind of way, and it's okay.
Some people have learned that the hard way with me. Like, where did you look? I kid you not, because I remember one person that I stopped talking to and completely, out of my life and everything. Like, I was like, I'm just leaving you alone. I'm not gonna talk to you. We're not gonna talk to each other. We're not gonna see each other. And they were like, and they came back and was like, well, where did you go? And I missed you. And I'm like, do you understand why I left? See, people never, they want to, I mean, before I go further, they'll address that you left them, that you left them, that you've abandoned them, basically is what they'll say, and you left them alone or whatever. But they never addressed the reason why you left. They never want to figure out why. They just want to know, why did you leave me? Why did you just make me feel this way? And my feelings are hurt. But did you think about why I did this? What you did to make me get to this point? Because I am a very patient person, but everybody got a limit.
Yeah.
But that's not a commandment. I thought that was, but maybe it's not.
I don't think so. And
it's not, okay.
The 10 Commandments were kind of abolished by Jesus anyway.
They were.
Yeah. So why are we still putting up the commandments? Because he was just like, love, love your neighbor as yourself. Basically, love God and love your neighbor. That was it.
Right. Yeah. And basically, because basically people still want to use anything they can to keep people enslaved in religious jail, basically.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. But people definitely pick and choose. And you know what? The funny thing is, that's kind of okay, because the Bible is written by a whole bunch of different people in different times and places.
Yeah, so, folks like to move the goalposts when discussing the problems with long-time friends. Yeah, they will. They will move the goalposts, but I don't know. I kind of feel like moving the goalposts is a neutral in a way, because you may have to adjust some things to maintain, like when people go through romantic relationships, marriages, and even friendships, you might have to adjust something to keep the friendship together. If if that's what y'all want to do, if both agree, like, okay, but also it can be a bad thing too, because they'll be like, well, don't move the goalpost on me now because I was out of the blue. You don't like this, and you want to take it to an extreme of either you do this or I'm gone. Don't give them an ultimatum. Give them time to adjust.
Exactly. I think what you said was spot on. That moving the goalpost is a neutral statement, right? Like it can be either good or bad depending on the way things are. Like you may move the goalpost in a sort of vindictive way to try to end a relationship or something, like you just tired or something, or you could be growing as a person. Like maybe you are growing in your self-love and respect, and you're like, oh, these people are talking to me like shit. Like I should probably ask them to stop doing that.
Yes.
And in that way, move the goalpost is definitely a good thing.
Yes, it definitely is, because I can't tell you how much, and I took a strong boundary earlier this year, and I've been sticking to it. I'm tired of people just thinking they can do whatever to me, and I'm not saying anything. I'm not voicing how I feel or my opinion. And I have been doing that, and some people have been like, I respect that, and some people have gone out of my life, but I'm just like, okay, well, hey, once I do that, it is what it is at that point. Because if I'm telling you how I feel, I'm not saying that you have to stop being my friend. I'm not saying that we have to be part ways. I didn't say nothing like that. I'm just letting you know that what you do to me makes me feel this way.
Exactly. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
And then sometimes in my case, like I'm not making a choice to leave. I'm like, I can't be around you. Like you make me feel dysregulated. You make me feel unsafe to be around you. Like every time I bring up something,
yes.
I'm afraid you're going to yell at me. Like I don't really have much of a choice in this situation.
Exactly. And I kid you not, that's how my relationship was.
Yeah.
What is it now? 14 years ago. God, that was a long time ago. I was in a relationship with a person who made me, if not every day, at least most days, made me feel like I can't even go home.
Right.
I can't even talk to this person because they'll find some way to yell at me and make me feel like what I'm saying or doing is wrong, or make something that isn't my fault. And it's crazy how people have a way of flipping the script or manipulating to you to make you feel like, well, you shouldn't feel that way, or well, that's because you did this. And I'm like, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
This is way before me. Like, what? How this is my fault, but I wasn't even there. I wasn't even in your life at that point, and it's crazy the way people do that. And people won't talk to you with any kind of respect. It's like, and this is what I say too, about even in friendships, relationships, or whatever. Stop taking your crap that somebody else did on somebody else who didn't do anything to you.
Yeah.
Before you pursue anything, check yourself.
Yeah.
Heal yourself from whatever it is, because sometimes you may ruin something that's good for you because of what somebody did to you in your past.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I remember one time when I told somebody that I'm dealing with a situation, they were like, well, that's not fair, because what happens to me now? I mean, like, well, first of all, this isn't about you. This is me telling you about what happened to me and what I have to deal with. Why do you feel like this is something against you, like it's unfair to you? Because you weren't there. It didn't happen to you. It happened to me. Like, it's crazy how people will sit there and be like, well, it's not fair because now I gotta deal with this and I can't do it. I'm like, this is about me though.
Exactly, y'all. Go get some therapy. It's
good. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I was lucky enough to have a therapy session just Thursday after the election. Perfect timing.
Right. Let the girl say the perfect timing.
I'm just saying, therapy is great. I said, you know what? I might need another therapy session extra soon. So I'm like, I'm trying to fit her into my schedule, but she's busy. Apparently the holidays are popular for therapists.
They are.
I'm trying to squeeze in her schedule. Anyway. All right, we're gonna do the last topic before we go to we usually do this a little short, but we can extend it a little bit.
Okay.
This one is about gay dating. I don't know how I feel about this, so I'm just gonna play. I'm gonna play the thing. I think I might be channeling Greg a little bit. Here we go.
So let me tell y'all the exact moment when I decided to give up on romantically pursuing men. So boom, I meet this dude about 2 years ago, roughly around 2 years ago, around October of 2022, right? When we first started linking up, it was just a link up. Y'all know when we just linking up, it's just a link. But then we found out we kind of had a friendship there because we had a lot of things in common. We played video games together. We kind of had the same interest in movies. It escalated to a friendship real quick. So now, not only is he coming over and we doing a wham bam, but we also playing hours of video games, watching TV, going to the movies, going on little dates and every now and again. After around month 5, 6, I'm like, all right, my feelings is growing. And you hear damn near every day, like I get home from work, what is we doing? I'm too old to be playing house. And he told me that basically he didn't want a relationship with me. He just like where we was at. I said, thank you for being honest. I appreciate your honesty. So with me knowing that information, I still actively, remained friends with him, but I just was very transparent with him. I was like, well, that's going to be the case. I'm going to romantically pursue other people. And he said, bet. All right, bet. One night, now, I don't know if this is petty or not, but one night he was over my house. I didn't tell him I had a date that night. But I told him, I said, in so many words, you have to go because I'm about to get ready to go on a date. And he paused. And he just quietly gathered his things and left. Next thing you know, I'm getting all kind of messages when he's far down the street. I just feel so jealous. I can't believe you on a date with another man. I'm just like, did I not tell you how I felt about you? And you told me that you didn't feel the same. What did you expect me to do? So like a dumbass, I think the next day he came over, we talked, and he basically told me that he does want to be with me. He just didn't know how to vocalize his feelings. And like a dumbass, I believe. A month goes on after that talk, and feelings of resentment on my end start to rise for him because I feel like, why did it take me to go on another date with another man for you to unmask these feelings about me? So then one random day while I'm out with my friends, he texts me like, yeah, can I have your permission? Or he's not really asking for permission. He's just telling me like, I want to be sexual with other people while still being sexual and still being in friendship with you. And that pissed me off so bad. I'm just like, nah, hold on. You already told me that you wanted to be here. You already told me, stop me from going on a date with another man. And that's when I figured out, I said, men just want to have what they want and when they want it, how they want it, and when they no longer want it anymore, they just be like, whatever. And the territorial instinct of him kicked in when he saw me with somebody else potentially having what he wanted. But at the same time, while wanting me, he wanted other people. Baby, I turned him every which way but loose. And that was the only time that I really did crash out on a motherfucker intentionally. Like, I was crashing out on him because I felt so betrayed. But that was the moment I was like, yeah, niggas ain't shit. I'm better off just getting what I want from y'all and moving on. And I hate that that's the mentality that I've adapted now, because now it's just I don't even look or consider men in a romantic way, because it's just, I know what y'all about. I know the kind of games y'all play. I know. I've seen it all. I've done it all. I'm over it now. So now all we can do is a sexual act. And after that, you can go. And it may be fucked up to be that way, but at the same time, that's the reality of being gay. I don't know.
Not the reality of being gay, but I understand. But that's not. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I would say that.
Okay, so let me tell you one of the thoughts that I had. It was not a generous thought.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
It was not. My ungenerous thought to him was like, all you men just want to have it the way you want it, and then when you don't get what you want, you retaliate or do something. I was like, isn't that exactly what you did? That you started a relationship with him as a hookup. Right. And then as you were going to be friends, you said, okay, well, now I want a relationship. Like, that's not what he signed up for, right? And then when he didn't do that, you threw it in his face, basically making him jealous to try to get him into a relationship with you. Then when he did say he wanted a relationship with you, you then got resentful, basically threw it in his face again and made him and pushed him away. And he was like, okay, well, now I want to see other people. Aren't you basically doing the same thing? You are criticizing him of doing, which is saying you want when you want it.
Right.
But you somehow don't see, it's kind of like you see all the fault in him, but you have not in any way taken any responsibility for your messiness, your clinginess, like
Because
you
he done, because in the words of Greg, he done, that boy done knocked his medulla oblongata out of whack, and he done got enigmatized. And that's what happened. So, well, yeah, feelings were growing, and I'm like,
if you're gonna fuck, you probably should tell them to leave afterwards, because that's what you were doing. You were fucking.
Yeah, because I was fucking playing video games.
Yeah, I get it. You could invite someone else over to play video games.
Right. Talk about you not fucking. You know.
Exactly. Because like that's what I was getting at, and I understand like this sort of wishful thinking of wanting to upgrade somebody into boyfriend material. But my thought is also that if you just give up the goods, there's a certain amount of lack of respect that person's going to have for you.
Yeah.
And if you try to upgrade it, go ahead.
Or you're already putting them in the mindset of this is just a fuck. This is just a hookup. Yeah.
So like if you really want a relationship, you need to stop fucking. Like you really do need to just stop being a hoe. Because you're either going to attract other hoes and at the same time you're going to turn off all the husband material at the same time. Anybody who is husband material is not going to want a hoe. They're not going to want somebody who's fucking.
Well, that's not true. Well, okay.
I know it's not true in every circumstance. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah, in general. Okay.
Because obviously some people want both, and that's fine, and it works. But I'm just saying, like, if as a strategy, if this is what you really want, strategically speaking, and maybe that's not what you really want. I think he wanted the upgrade, a free upgrade. Like I had punched the card enough times, he wanted the free Whopper. Because I got the whole punch of cards. I got 10 punches. Like I now get a relationship. What's going on?
Right. Like this dude that came over and punched this hole enough times. Now I want him as a relationship because one he made and then it's like after you come off of your euphoric nut as they call it or your was it your climax clarity. After you come down from that, you look at this person like, he always over here. He got money. He got a good job. He sexy. He lay it down, and we hang out. Yeah, I can see myself being with and people who go through that phase. And I'm like, and I told one person like, look, it's not gonna go the way you think it is. They looking at you, and you may look at them as a boyfriend or partner material. They're looking at you as a whole, and that's all they see. Stop! Do not fool yourself, okay?
Pretty much.
They were like, no, and they were like, no, it's not like that. I'm like, okay. As soon as stuff went south, so it was just I told you it was just sex with them, but you decided not to listen. So I said let you bump your own head a couple of times. Yes.
Let me see some of these comments. I'm probably gonna put one up that I already did.
That's already there. And says he met a homosexual and the homosexual thought he found the jackpot. He just set the record straight. Wow. I mean that can happen too, but and my thing is this. And I like I tell people, unless there is a verbal and an agreement between you and that person to be in a relationship, to be open or closed, to be whatever. Do not overstep your own lane or boundaries for somebody that you think is or could possibly be. And people, and I think people overestimate their sex game too. They be like, well, if I put on him enough, he's gonna want to be mine. No, he's not. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. They may act crazy over you because they don't want. What it is that they'll become territorial and they don't want you mess around with somebody else because it's so good. They want to offer themselves. That's what they're gonna look at you as. But as far as being romantically involved, no, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, because I feel like he has a very naive idea of what a relationship is. You know?
Yeah.
And maybe I have a more grandiose idea of what a relationship is. But I think there's a difference between, partnership and companionship, right?
Yeah.
What he had was companionship. You can get companionship from a dog.
Yep.
I'm just saying, they make great companions. They love you.
Right.
Just
Yeah. And you
a
know,
partnership, that's something different. That requires like thought and planning and like intention, right? Like, and he's offering partnership to a companion. That's just not it.
Right.
And it seems like he fucked up a good companionship. Like he's
right. Yeah.
I mean,
sometimes I know we get in our feelings sometimes, but you got to deal with that on your own. And sometimes it's just better to keep your mouth shut. If you know this dude is coming over and knocking that thing like the Sonic coins out of it or the Mario box out of it, and you just and that's what you need.
You got that star. That's
right. Act accordingly. Okay.
Oh god, that was fun. All right. But yeah, we're gonna probably go to Patreon. Yeah, we're going to Patreon because we usually just do an hour on Mondays. But yeah, Greg will be back. I'm sure he's gonna I think he's actually out for non-mental health reasons. He's actually working. But yeah, join us tomorrow for the Swag Suite. Or Swag will bring all the trending topics, and of course, I'll be here on Wednesday. We're gonna do something on Saturday. I don't know if Greg will be back, but we've been doing reruns. We might do live reruns, and of course, join Devon and the Blurred Council for all things blurred-tastic. We're gonna be going to Patreon in just a second. Of course, also let me plug my podcast. If you like listening to podcasts, I am, trying to make a commitment to put out one every Tuesday. As a patron, you get an early one today. And of course, we have the after show. So Devon and I are going to kick it for a few more minutes after this. And yeah, join us for Patreon in just a second. Yeah, let me go ahead and switch us over. I will I have one more topic and maybe, bring those up on the other live streams because I always have extras. And maybe there's some suggestions for topics. I'm going to move over here. Closed all of those. Let me end Instagram. I forget to do that. Instagram's so discard. Okay, there we go. Always got to have some hot dude on Instagram pop up. Anyway, Instagram is always hot. Anyway, I do have another topic, and this was maybe some good theology. I was going to say some if we are into Jesus. I mean, I'm still kind of into Jesus. Here we go.
I get very philosophical about Christianity when I'm in a version of a crash out. And if you're crashing out and you need some really good, deep Christian theology, may I recommend The Powers That Be Theology for a New Millennium by Walter Wayne. A lot of the loudest Christian voices in America talk as if Christianity is like joining the mafia. They have a super tight relationship with the most powerful guy. And by serving him, they will commit acts of violence in his name. My friend Jesus, I talk to him every night. I take directions from him. I open my heart to him. And oh, wow, coincidentally, Jesus is telling me to put my baby on a blanket and smack them whenever they got off the blanket. And Jesus is telling me that my wife has got to put out anytime I feel like sex. And Jesus is telling me that it's okay to kill those people and those people. And that's a crazy-making reversal of Christianity. I don't know how you read the New Testament and don't see that Christianity is about an alternative, exceptionally powerful response to violent humiliation. Christianity accepts that inherent in human nature is that we use enacted violence on scapegoats to control people, right? Why did the Romans execute Jesus? It wasn't even that personal to Jesus, right? They just were in a power structure where powerful people in Judea were like, this guy's inconvenient. Don't you think you should off him? And the Romans were like, yeah, we really enjoy offing people. And a huge part of our empire is controlling people through exceptionally like showy and dramatic violence, right? It's not just that we're going to kill you. We are going to strip you naked so everyone can see your nakedness. We're going to take away all of your power by nailing your hands and feet down. We're going to violate your body by stabbing it. And then we're going to treat it as entertainment as you collapse in on yourself. Why would you stone an adulterous woman instead of just taking her aside and killing her? Because the point is that the stoning sends a message. The violence is the message. And Christianity is about the choice not to recreate that. Because Jesus, very clearly in the Bible, is reminded by the enemy, hey, like, you would excel completely at this humiliation and violence game. I love that Walter Wink book because it is about how systems of violence recreate themselves. Violence is often like fractal. It's repeating patterns, and it's small and it's big, and you can get a big pattern of violence from a small pattern. The thing that Jesus came down to show us is that you can have an exceptionally powerful response that is not choosing to take up the gun. In that Walter Wink book, he talks a lot about the true meaning of turning the other cheek. And turning the other cheek is in no way about just passively accepting violence. It is about being creative enough in the face of violence to make a person's expression of humiliation and violence reveal themselves to themselves. I think the main times that I have lost my Christian faith are times that I have humiliated people back. And I don't think that it's when I have left the church. I don't think it's when I've been like, maybe organized religion is bad for people. I don't think those are times that I've lost my faith. I think when I've lost my faith is when I have bought into a power structure that relies on humiliation and me being more powerful than another person.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is one of the things that came up when conservative, congregations are supporting Trump. Is that they don't want to hear none about turning the other cheek. Nope. They don't want to hear none of the actual, maybe radical aspects of Jesus's teachings, which is like also kind of anti-capitalist as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I mention that? That is a part of the cherry picking that's in there because they just don't talk about the idea that, when people were selling goods in the temple, that he literally, the only act of violence that he commits in the gospels is against people trying to profit from the temple, right?
Right.
Which is kind of
funny to me. Like, how did we get to tithing in church if God was against people making profit?
Yeah, I know, right?
How did we get there?
Yeah. So I mean, there was tithing for like public works, right? Like for like the temple, and so they are putting that into that, but that was not something, that was part of like paying taxes, and so like there was a point where it was like, you pay your taxes, but
right,
that's just part of that. But yeah, there's a lot of manipulative shit when it comes to that. The tithing, yeah, when they tie that into some sort of metaphysical blessing that you're going to get for,
yeah.
I mean, you could just say like, look, this is a place you like to come to every week. Why don't you support it financially?
Right. like we have a Patreon. We have
right,
people who have subscriptions on their channels. Like, you like coming here? Why don't you show me some support by subscribing to the channel, or like, donate even like just doing like a $5 bid into the channel.
Right.
Instead of saying, well, if you give me $5 next week, whatever car troubles you have would not even be, it would be over, because God has ordained that since you gave this $5, your car troubles are going to be fixed automatically. He's got the power to do that. Like,
oh my God, y'all are so full of shit.
And next week coming, you still, and that carburetor and that is still acting up, and your tires are still flat. But
I'll tell you another one though. I don't mean to be mean, but all of the spirituality girlies, I think that's what I'm gonna call them. Ones who like tarot cards and astrology, who were, Kamala is ascending to the presidency. Like, what? They ain't saying shit now, are they? Talking about You know,
Now,
all the prognostications about, you know, Trump getting his.
mhm.
Did you delete the videos? Make sure you scrub that shit because we see it. I saw that. All your bad predictions now, you're gonna like post hoc try to make that shit. You know,
Mhm.
like, oh, I didn't see this comment. It was here and it wasn't there before, and it came out of nowhere. Even though like these bodies have been moving around for fucking millions of years, you can just tell where they are. Oh, this was a secret comment. This is one that, you know, shielded by the
Mhm.
glare of this constellation. I don't know. You know, of course I know. I know it's just bullshit is what I know. But why? Why? Oh yeah, and your reading is only $90. Like if you really want to get a good one, you know.
Man.
Oh god, I can't sometimes. I mean, I can because I mean I understand the hustle. I understand wanting to eat name brand chicken nuggets, and
Name brand chicken nuggets.
I don't know where I got that from. It's
Yeah, me either. Like, what the heck? What are name brand chicken nuggets, Malcolm?
because when I was a kid, my mom always made us get the generic chicken nuggets, and now as an adult, I refuse. I'm eating name brand chicken nuggets. I am eating the fucking Tyson ones.
Feeding you like family.
I refuse. And so whatever it takes to eat name brand chicken nuggets, I'm gonna do it. There you go.
I hear you.
I don't want to be poor no more. That's all I'm saying. But just I get it. Let me see if Sammy had anything.
And Sammy said, "Get free men on some ass. Getting free men on some ass. What?"
Oh god, yeah. I mean, I get the idea of wanting easy answers to complex questions. I mean, that's what the election was really about, where Trump was just offering bullshit and people would buy it. And I don't think that Kamala could have done the same thing because we're more skeptical. We're the skeptical community. By nature, liberals are more skeptical and conservatives, they're like, they believe giving to the church will make their carburetor work.
Like, like when you go outside, when you give this $5 to Donald Trump's foundation or to the church, when you go outside, your flat tire will not be flat anymore. Go out there,
we're making fun of the fucking gold sneakers, and they sold out. You know,
wow.
Like he had those watches that were like $40. He was selling them for $10,000. Sold out.
Well, you know what? I mean, people will buy anything to somebody they worship and believe in. They will.
Yeah.
We've seen it multiple times. Look, I mean, even with celebrities. I mean, I remember one time somebody complained that Beyonce did not send them a free sample, like she did her celebrity people that she actually knows, a free outfit from her new clothing line, from the Ivy Park, clothing line, and people were, and her fans were actually mad. Beyonce, where's our outfits at? I'm like, she don't know y'all. Y'all are the consumers. Okay, y'all don't want us to go out here and buy this because she knows her audience. She knows that no matter what, you could put Beyonce on baby powder, you could put Beyonce on anything, and y'all will buy it. She knows.
Yeah. I would definitely buy some Beyonce baby powder.
Beyonce baby oil. Buy it. You'll say like Beyonce.
Like, I'll be dancing to her music as I put on the baby powder. I ain't gonna lie, I love Beyonce. But anyway, at least since her self-titled album, like I'm a late comer. I'm not like an early one. But whenever that one came out in 2015, I've kind of been a Beyonce stan. But I mean, I get it. It's all good. But no, I did have the money, but my grandmother was cheap. I live with my grandmother.
Malcolm, your mom didn't have Tyson money. She had these nuggets.
Yeah.
Sammy, you are.
No, it's like I lived with my grandmother
Mhm.
up until I was 10, and she was of the Depression era,
Mhm.
and she had the money. She just didn't want to spend it. So, and I don't blame her. I guess, like she was born in 1909. So, like when she was
Wow.
coming of age, the Great Depression was happening. Like people's bank deposits disappeared, you know.
Mm.
On top of that, she's from South Georgia in the
Mm.
1920s. So you imagine there wasn't very many banks, period.
Right.
There were whatever black banks existed were struggling just as much as everywhere else. And so she had just a sense of like, save as much as you can always,
Yeah.
and that extended all the way into the 80s and 90s when like this is not the depression. Things are okay now. Please stop.
Now we afford these things that a little, well,
Yeah.
it's based on the economy at the time. But yeah, we
Yeah.
actually you don't have to buy the off brands anymore. Like, somebody once told me that you can buy name brand cereals. I do sometimes, but my budget says
Yeah.
the off brand. Okay. You don't know my budget like that. So
Yeah.
sorry.
This is something though that I am going to bring up with Greg, and I'm going to try to find it in my own content. Is we're going to definitely talk a lot more about money.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, one of the real consequences of a Trump presidency will be major price hikes again. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
because he is going to do the immigration deportation thing, he's got to try. That's going to mean lower supplies because people are not going to be able to work as much. We're at 4.2% unemployment. Like
Mm-hmm.
there aren't enough unemployed people to fill the jobs that he's going to deport, right? And so that's going to cause prices to go up. And then of course the tariffs, which
Yeah,
he
but
said
I was about to mention that. Yeah.
it's already raising prices. Like
Right. And I remember there was a video on TikTok of a lady that said her friend's husband came home one day mad and upset because he's a truck driver.
Yeah.
And they are not getting their Christmas bonus because of the company having to pay for the tariffs.
Yeah. They're anticipating the tariffs, so they're buying supplies far into the future to try to get it at a lower price so they can try to make a better profit. Because what's going to happen is, of course, is the tariffs don't mean that the prices automatically go up. It means immediately that the companies are going to make less profit from every sale. Right? And they're going to raise prices slowly to try to make up that loss of profit because they know you can't raise it immediately. You raise it slowly to try to get people accustomed to paying higher prices. So the companies are already expecting to lose money on these tariffs, and so they're not paying out the bonuses, like you said, and cutting back. And I think we have to do the same thing. Like as individuals, as consumers, we got to learn how to cut, save, invest, all that shit. And so hopefully I can get Greg on board with like some simple things that we can do to like teach our community about investing and saving and budgeting and not make it boring. I don't think it'll be boring because we're going to be real with you and have fun with it as best we can. But it's like it's a survival. I want the name brand chicken nuggets. So.
Right.
You got to save the money.
Yep.
And I think someone else, there was something I should have brought to you. I don't know. Cream actually asked me. He's thinking about buying a system.
Yeah, I saw his post.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I said PS5.
Yeah, I said it's PS5 as well. And I said it, but of course I'm probably biased just because they have the games that I want to play. I can't think of any exclusive Xbox games that I really care about.
At this point, the only good thing about Xbox, well, not the only, there are a couple of things, but the main good thing about Xbox at this point is their Game Pass. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you can play older Xbox titles still and everything. That's about it. Other than that, Xbox doesn't have a lot of exclusive games that I want to play, like anything great that I can't, and that's it. I mean, and their technology, their hardware is actually really good, like in their graphics and everything, because it's Microsoft. But other than that, Xbox is, there's also crossplay too. Now you can crossplay with people on PlayStation. Some games have crossplay, not all of them. Some do. They're getting more. They're getting more into the ones that do, but
there are a lot
but not a lot of them do at this point. But yeah, other than that. Yeah, get a PS5 because it's
pretty much. I was gonna say for me, it was all about Spider-Man, God of War, Last of Us. I mean, those are enough reasons. Right there.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. They are.
It's just like those are all really great AAA exclusive games to Sony, and like, I don't own a Switch, but Nintendo's games are really good too. I mean,
they are.
Yeah, it is Nintendo. So if you're into those, I don't know, but I just thought I'd throw that in there for him. I'm going to go ahead and end our Patreon. We'll be back tomorrow, and see you guys later.
All right.